Welcome back to Minecraft, my name is Scorpios, and today we're going to be looking at 4 building hacks that you can use to make your futuristic city look better in Minecraft. Okay, let's stop there for a second because this is a regular SMP episode. So once again, we are here at our survival base here at the rambleSMP server. And with that said, this is a brand new episode of my SMP series. So if you enjoy what you're seeing here, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and check out my other episodes from this series, which are going to be linked down below in the video description. And that is going to be it for this intro. So let's jump right into our episode. So during the last episode, I started building this road extension here. So we built this section of this highway here. And we now also have this road which goes all the way down and this road also connects with the rest of our base, which means we are now starting to see a very nice base plan starting to unfold. And of course, during the last episode, we also built up this bee farm here. So this boxy building over here is where the actual bee farm is located. So we have a storage tank here and a side building over here, even though these buildings are actually empty on the inside. As you can see here, there is nothing going on in here. So we're now on to the 6th episode of this survival season. But I guess one problem with all of the base expansion is that many parts of our base now needs to be retouched. Well, let's just say decorated, because as you can see here, many parts of our base are now left undecorated, which is alright, but after a while it does kind of drive me crazy, to be honest. So today's episode is going to be about making this base look better. We are going to be building some new structures, and as you can see here, I've already prepared some materials for today's building projects. So the first build hack of today is going to be building interesting roads. Well, almost all of us have the tendency to build straight, and there's nothing wrong with that because building straight is the most fundamental way of building in Minecraft. It is important to add some diagonal lines and some curves to your base as well. So this road here is the very first road that I built in this season, and as you can see here, just to set the tone for this base, I chose to build this road as a straight road. But of course, as the base expanded over time, I started to deviate from the straight line. So just to demonstrate what I meant here, I started working on another road expansion. So here we're going to have this main road that is going to lead to a brand new section of our base, which we're going to be building up in upcoming episodes. So as you can see here, for this part of this road, I started to introduce some terrain difference. So this road goes up by half a block, and then it goes on for a couple of more blocks until the height is increased by another half a block. So here I'm going to demonstrate my process for building these streets. So I have some half slabs in my hand, and I am ready to do some road construction work.
A few moments later.
Alright, so we have completed this platform, which is going to be 8 blocks across. So that means 8 blocks across from this block to this edge over here. And another thing that I started doing is to change the direction of this road a little bit so that it turns to the left. So here I don't want this turn to be too sharp, but I do want to make it a very visible turn in the direction of the road. So I have opted for this road to turn left by 1 block for each 5 blocks it goes forward. So here you can see that this road section moved over by 1 block over here, and this block right here is the 5th block, which means starting on this block here, we are going to move this entire road over by 1 block. So as you can see here, we are actually following a very strict system, and that is going to make sure that this road is going to have a consistent angle. And as you can see here, I've actually used this same building method over here on this road here as well, and I think this is going to be a good amount of road expansion for today's episode. We do have to move on to other projects as well, and in fact I'm going to go ahead and add some sidewalks to this road, which means I'm going to do some work off camera, and I will be right back. And check this out, and all we have to do is to start putting down buildings and things like that in this flat area here, and all of the height difference here is going to add up and make the city look much more lively. And speaking of road improvement, another thing that you can also do is to add texture to your road. So I've kind of started doing that on this road here. Since I am using a lot of deep slate blocks, I've decided to texturize my road with other variations of deep slate blocks. So here we have coupled deep slate slabs and deep slate brick slabs as well. And of course, when we're putting these blocks down, we aren't just scattering them around at a random pattern, and instead we're kind of clumping them together. And overall, that is going to make a road look older. So with the expansion of new roads in this base, we are going to go ahead and put down some texturing. But overall, these blocks are going to be concentrated in patches, and that is just going to make the texturing more natural. So here we'll put down some cobbled deep slate blocks on this side here as well, but not as many. And we are also going to have a secondary texturing block. So the blocks that I'm putting down right now are really added as a highlight. And as you can see here, this road section here is already looking so much better. Oh, and by the way, there is a block that I have wanted to try out for a while, and that is going to be these chiseled deep slate blocks. And with a unique texture on these blocks, I thought that these blocks would look pretty good if I put them down along this street at a set interval. So we put down 2 of these blocks here, which means on this side here, I'm going to put down 2 more of these blocks. So in my mind, these blocks kind of resemble a sewer system that you would see in real life. So I'm going to put a few more of these blocks down, maybe some in this corner here, and over here. And another thing that I want to showcase here involves street lights. So 2 episodes ago, I started adding these street lamps, and as you can see here, they added so much to the aesthetics of this base. But in today's episode, I wanted to showcase a different street lamp design. So this is going to be an alternative design that I'm going to be using in different parts of my base. And as you can see here, this design that I've come up with is pretty much identical to the street lamp design that I've been using so far. And the only thing that really changed is the material. So here we're going to be using blackstone instead of andesite blocks. So as you can see here, so far our street still looks like it is missing something. So I did realize that we need to add street lights to the area of our base down here. Alright, so I went ahead and started working on one of the street lamps. So I added this guy right here, and I do think that added something to the space here. And by the way, was this episode supposed to be about 4 building hacks? Well, I guess the second build hack for today is going to be adding street light. So let's jump into a time lapse, and after that we're going to take a look at the thought process behind this build hack. And here we're just going to put down the last few lights, and then we are done for now. And I think somewhere around here, we're going to put down 1 more light right here. Alright, and let's take a look at what is going on here. So obviously I added a few more street lights along this highway here. I added a lot more of these blackstone street lights. And by the way, I also tweaked my design here to make these street lights look a little larger. So from this angle here, there are 3 different types of street lights that I'm using here. So we have these tall urban street lights, and we also have these street lights that are more rural, and in fact, you can even say that they are more of a medieval style. And of course, up here along the highway, we also have these highway lights. So the mixing of style here is actually crucial to making this base look more realistic. But believe it or not, adding these older looking lights is actually going to make this base look more like a realistic modern city, because these lights are going to make this city look like it was not built in one day, even though we did build this base within a pretty short period of time. And another aspect of this build hack has to do with scale. And if you play around with scale, you can actually get a lot more out of these streetlights. So these blackstone streetlights are about 25 to 30 blocks apart from each other. So for example, the base of this light here is exactly 25 blocks from the base of that light right there. And these blackstone lights are also pretty tall, so this light here is exactly 12 blocks tall from this half slab. Whereas if you compare these lights with the highway lights up there, those highway lights, I believe they are 9 blocks tall, but let me go take a look. So I did some measuring up here, and it turns out that these highway lights here are 10 blocks tall. So these lights here are definitely smaller in scale than the blackstone lights down there. And these lights here are also placed much closer to each other. So these lights are only 12 blocks apart from each other, which means the distance between this blackstone light to that blackstone light over there is twice as much as the distance between these highway lights here. And once you put everything together, the contrast in scale is actually going to create some interesting visual effect. So as you may know, objects that are in the distance tend to look smaller, which means by making the lights at a distance smaller in scale, we can actually create the illusion that those highway lights are way further from us than they really are. So to summarize it in plain English, by using these visual tricks with streetlights, you can actually make your base look much larger than it actually is. And that's just a very nice build hack. And speaking of build hacks, my third build hack of this episode has to do with this thing that I just built here in this corner. And the third build hack of today's episode is going to be to add more buildings. And let me elaborate on that because there is an approach to this build hack here. And here I'm going to jump into another time lapse to explain what I mean here. So as you can see here, we have this large lot on which we already have a building that is on a larger scale. But the problem is having a large build on a large block is not exactly natural, which is why I decided to take advantage of this corner here. I decided to build a small restaurant, and of course the first thing that we need to work on is the interior design here. So I'm going to put down a food counter and a few more chairs and tables, and after that we're just going to go ahead and finish building this restaurant here. And of course, in order to make this a proper fast food restaurant, we do need signage on top. So that is the next thing that I'm going to work on here. So here I'm going to use a combination of these blocks here. So I think the last step here is to top this off with some half slabs on top here. And here we go. I think that is a pretty decent signage, so I will leave it there. So as you can see here, the entrance to this restaurant is going to be here, and there's actually another entrance. Oh, it looks like I am missing a door here. That is quite odd. But anyways, this restaurant is going to have a little dining area here and these storage barrels here where I can store some food. And it is looking pretty good with some detailing. And as you can see here, once we take a look from above, it becomes really obvious that adding this building here actually added a lot to the overall energy of this entire base. But anyways, let's fix up this door here. The fourth and final build hack that I wanted to introduce in this episode is to add more objects in your modern city. But you do have to do it in a way that makes sense, because otherwise you're just adding random blocks to your base, which doesn't always lead to the best result. So basically you do have to make sure that the objects that you're adding make sense within the environment that you are building. So for example, in this street corner here, we can probably add a few more of these boxes that you will see in a real city. So I don't actually know exactly what these would be for, but we can probably put down some redstone. All right, so here we go. So now we have these things. And I think on the back here, we can also put down some buttons. So I don't know exactly what these look like to you. They could be trash cans. You can also imagine them as mailboxes. But I am going to go ahead and put a few more of these down throughout this base. So I'm just going to put these down along the busy intersections. So I've placed a few boxes over there and a few boxes here as well. And I think a few more in the back street here as well. Alright, here we go. That is looking quite fantastic. And over here on this side, we're also going to create a half enclosed area. And on top here, let's put down 2 layers of iron bars. And now we have a small area in which we can put even more decorations. So here I'm going to do something that is quite expensive, but it's going to turn out to be a pretty cool design that I came up with. Alright, that is looking good so far. And here, oops, let me try to get up here, and on top here we're just going to cover this thing up with some black carpet and some buttons on the side as well. And now we have here a trash dumpster that actually looks quite realistic with the texture on these shulker boxes. And of course here I went with a green color for these dumpsters just because that is the typical color for these trash dumpsters in my city. And by the way, if these things come in a different color where you live, leave a comment down below and let me know, because I would really love to know. But anyways, with that said, I am going to put down another trash dumpster right here. This is going to turn out to be quite an expensive project because as you can see here, we are using a total of 16 shulker boxes. But as you can see, with the added details around this intersection here, this part of this base is now looking much more realistic. And if you take a look from above here, it really does look like a vibrant city is growing. So that is going to be it for all of the build hacks for building a modern Minecraft city. And I hope that you will find these build hacks helpful when you are building your own medieval base. I will be uploading a brand new episode from this series every single weekend, so make sure to stay tuned. So we're actually going to end this episode with some footage from a recent collaboration that I did with another member of the server, KITT. So we got together and got into a fist fight for the stake of a few diamond blocks. So if you do like SMP content, make sure to stay tuned because I do have a lot more collaboration ideas coming up. So with that said, enjoy this 30-second clip and I will see you guys in the next episode. Oh no! Actually, I had half a heart. So those were
half a heart? All right, your turn to count.
All right, so on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Here we go.
Oh, whew. Oh, beautiful.
Wow, I'm so confused.
Who am I?
Yep.
And 3, 2, 1, go. Oh. Well played.
Well done.
That is definitely yours. So you get to keep
Thank
that.
All right, let me read the book first.
Yeah, 5 diamond ores.
5 Diamond Wars. Here we go.
Well, cool. Thank you so much for this fight, and I'll enjoy pranking you in the future.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I hope I don't see you around in my base.
I'll start scouting out, see what I want to do. Don't worry.
All right, sounds good. I will
See you later.
I will see you later.